Honey Bunch Cosplay. Call me Angela, whatever. So I'm working on Gul'dan, and this is my like third time really working with Worbla. My previous project was Caitlin. Her gun from League of Legends I did with Worbla, and so had a little bit of experience, and so I'm just going to share what I've learned and what my techniques are. Maybe it'll help you. So this is one of the shoulder pauldrons that I am working on for Gul'dan, a World of Warcraft character, and so it's not like a completed, painted, everything's together thing, but at least to show you what I'm about to do on the second one, and show you kind of the techniques I'm using, things to do, especially if you're trying to plan for like lights. These are kind of the things that I'm learning along the way. So top section of his pauldron has a lot of detailed work and glyphs, and I'm using EL wire that I bought last year. I was going to use it for Illidan, didn't. So I've just kind of done some hot glue, made a fun little pattern in the back, and so that's that. And the kind of clear plastic that's backing it. You know, why don't I just go ahead and light this puppy up for you guys? Show you what I got. I still haven't like soldered the connectors to it, so it's fun trying to get this to work. Oh, okay, there. So as you can see, it just don't have a good connection. There. So as you can see, it lights up. I'm planning to put a backing on it so the light doesn't like shine through all the different layers of Worbla in the shoulder, but that's what you get. So there's that on the first tier. Middle tier is as such. Details, and this is Friendly Plastics. So there's that. And then the bottom details. And so as you can see, each layer already has a hole put into it. So as they stack, the wire can feed through. As such. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start building my second pauldron, and just going to replicate all of this on a second set and just kind of walk you through my techniques and lessons learned along the way, and heck, maybe you guys can tell me what I am or am not doing right or wrong as I do this, because as I said, I've kind of worked with this stuff, but only in a limited capacity. So I've already covered all of my base pieces with Worbla, and the foundation is the foam squares you can find at an automotive store. My cat's trying to eat my wire. There we go. He's trying to eat my yellow wire. We can't have that. It's gotta work. So it's the puzzle piece style EVA foam that you can find in an automotive store as the base. I already cut out all the glyphs and kind of put the detail around the edges where I cut this out, and the way I did that was had the EVA foam, cut the shape out, as you can see. Also, it's already painted a little bit on the inside, and again, that's so when the light shines through, it shines brighter, kind of has a green glow, and that especially needs to get painted before I secure all the pieces together. But So I glued this, like, I have it on, this type of plastic. Found it at Walmart. It's for making tracing stencils. So it's a type of plastic. It's kind of opaque. So I thought it'd work, and it so far is. So I just cut a larger piece of that and glued it around. I have pictures. Look for them. And then I retraced the same shape in thinner foam, and I taped it to the respective place, and then I laid Worbla on top of it, heated it, pressed it down, pressed around the shape so it kind of had this like raised embossing effect, and then made sure it was still somewhat warm and cut around the foam, cutting the foam out essentially, and leaving the exposed plastic. And then again, like I said, Worbla covering the rough edges. And my terrible, I think, technique, but works for me right now, is that I cut a piece bigger than the shape, fold it over on all sides, and then usually on corners, when the Worbla comes together, I pinch and fold under, and then I cut the excess off. So, and as you can see, I've done some journaling to try and clean it up, but I'll be putting, at least on this one, more Worbla on the other underside to kind of seal it up, and as I add my connecting things to be able to get it to stay on my shoulders. So that's how I work with it. It doesn't always look pretty on the underside, but what's the harm in adding more Worbla? So I'm going to start on, actually I need to start on the big one. I was trying to make a video before, and it was just cutting in and out, so I had to start over. So I've, as you can see, traced everywhere that I want things to go. The skulls. Highly recommended. Don't guess. Measure twice, cut once. So I have a drafting table, and I'm using the back of an old drawing board to kind of block the barrier for heat. Yeah. So I'm using a ton of scrap Worbla for this. I just have a bunch of it, just because probably my technique for how I cover and everything just produces a lot of excess, and I know a lot of people like lay the shape down and cut it out and like really press, but I just haven't gone that path yet. So I don't know if it's apparent, but I've had two different shapes of, or two different sheets of Worbla, so I have two different colors. So all I'm really going to do is start kind of wadding these together, if you will. I already know the size and the shape that I want to make. So I'm pretty much making a roll. I don't know how thick it is, but thicker than a pencil. And I'm just going to squeeze so it doesn't stick to the wood. But this is giving me my triangle shape. Some people use, friendly plastics for this, and that can give you like a really nice, clean point. For me though, I'm not going for clean point. I just don't want to hurt anybody. The other thing about this method is that when you go to connect it to the armor piece that you're making, sometimes the edges can look like it's not flush, so you want to work on that in your own method, whichever you find works. And because I am pretty much making Worbla thicker, as it cools down, if I wait too long and it cools down to room temperature again, it'll take just that much longer to heat back up. So you really want to work reasonably fast. Now, of course, because I'm like rolling things up, there will definitely be some lines in my Worbla. But for this guy, he's pretty freaking old, and well, his armor should be aged and worn looking. So I'm not overly concerned with some of these like extra lines and nicks, just because I would think, over time he should have cracks in his armor. And the look we're going for here is metal, so if that helps guide potentially a decision for you on why to use Worbla. So here, I have like a little roll. For longer pieces, I'd probably recommend trying to like really roll out a long piece, and I'll do that here in a second to really show like the tediousness of it all. So Worbla likes to stick to itself, of course. Some recommend like you should hold it back further, but I'm an impatient person. I have time that is limited. So I'm heating things up. You definitely benefit from a little more heat. I'm also going to taper one edge of this, which basically means that like I have it looking like this, and one side I'm just going to kind of push in. And that's just so I can make it neat at this point. So I need to move my camera. I'll do that here after this one. So I'm just kind of like guiding it down. And then the way I've just been doing this is that in each corner I actually cut it. This just gives me a very distinct connecting point. It's not, I think, some like special technique. It's just the look that I'm trying to achieve. Oh, I love my sculpting pieces. Is that it's supposed to kind of taper and right at the edge. So it takes a little bit of extra effort on my part to get that right. And yeah, so you just want to get it down. I will say also, like, I have a little bit of a gap between here. I can feel it. I know it's in the other one too. So I'll probably end up putting like friendly plastics over it just to clean up the seams a little more. So let me quickly camera. I'm not capturing everything, so I'm like working right here. Okay, so can't tell if this is actually a little too thick. So this stuff is very pliable. It is hot, because of course I'm applying heat. Again, just following my lines that I have already sketched out. Sections how I would like them to look. I don't recommend sculpting with an X-Acto knife, but I'm trying to do this quickly. This is the only thing I have with me. And also I keep looking back at my list to make sure I've got if I'm doing what I want to. So that's what's happening. I could pre-cut out the shapes instead of like rolling it down and connecting it that way, but just me and knowing what works best for me and my abilities, and this is the technique that I'm going to use. Also, because of this technique that I'm trying to use, I might not always cut shapes correctly, and Worbla gives me the ability to kind of adjust and shift the Worbla from one side to the next, if need be. But once it's stuck on there, you have made a decision and you need to commit, unfortunately. So one recommendation I have is if you use this type of technique, when you get the opportunity that you know you're going to like step away, flatten out the piece that you potentially bundled up to try and get it reasonably flatter, because what happens is you'll be left with a wad like this. And so if you have a wad like this, it's really not a good idea. It just takes a really long time to get the heat through all of it, and you can just not get it flattened. And of course, you don't want to burn your fingers. Oh, I'll come back to that one. So what I'm going to do is make a really long one in a second. And look at that, just scraps. So many scraps. Now, I keep my scraps in a box, so definitely plan accordingly. And so like with the heat gun, I always sometimes have trouble, not sometimes, always, with these like little pieces, things that I've like broken off or whatever. So I found I like to do this. So this is still pretty warm from when I just flattened it, so I'll just build off that. So it just helps ensure that the piece doesn't like go like flying off. And if I tried to show that on the video, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work. And of course, since like I had constant heat on it, it's going to be hot. So just a fair warning. And like I said, I've been working with this stuff for the past like week, so although my fingers and skin still don't like the heat, I can tolerate it a little bit more. Some people like to keep like a sponge with water, and they can like tap it before they touch Worbla that's just been heated up. This just gives them kind of like a cool contact surface. If you definitely want like clean edges, the rolling technique I would definitely recommend. Clay makers do it and just ensure everything gets pressed into each burger. Also, rolling tends to make sure that you have an even amount distributed. And I'll show in just a second how I like to do like the longer rolls and how I can keep those evenly. I mean, I can kind of do it right here where it's just like even pressure across all of your fingers. There's also kind of just like pulling out from the center out. That works. And all I'm really doing is like tapping on the edges to flatten them out. Again, just my thing helps guide me. I feel like this one is a lot smaller than all the rest, but fix it. I don't think I have enough. So just my take, I like to have enough of what I'm making and placing heated up, never more than I need. This again just helps ensure that when I step away for a little bit and I didn't make like a large piece that I'm going to come back to, and it's going to take me forever to heat back up, and then I'm left with more time spent trying to get caught back up. And I'm not sure if this is apparent, but you can kind of see still, the black Sharpie, because I'm right on the line, but it is still raised a little. So for me, it's kind of like this wiggle, like pull, push, that's pull, that's push, and pushing down into it while I'm making those motions. Again, just to make sure I get like a good contact. And now you can see the black line is not as pronounced as I've made. And I highly recommend continuing to go in the same path, like from edge to edge, start to finish, instead of what I just did. But I just didn't make enough right then, and so I jumped to the opposite side. It's not a bad thing, it's just, you know, if I'm trying to clean up and join my edges better here, it takes a little more time to heat up. Versus this one that's technically already solid. Yay! Stuff does not take much time. But it is a fun material, I can't deny it. It's fun in that, like, things come to life. So I'm just going to move forward with making my bigger one, because I'm going back now in the other direction, so I'm just going to prepare for it. Hopefully if I make the piece long enough, I can do this one and then quickly move on to the longer rounded one. So I am just going to kind of like knead the Worbla. So I'm still going to keep some relatively small pieces, and then I will join them. This is going to take me standing up because I will need my full body weight. Okay, so if you have a longer section like this and you want to like thin it out, so you start from the middle and you're gonna roll and you're gonna gently and slowly pull your hands apart until they get to the edges. Bring them back. Go again. So I'm not really trying to do that right now, but this is the motion. So I don't really want this to be thinner. It's pretty thick. And I guess the same, like, if you want to try and bring them back together, go opposing. Sometimes I leave, like, balancing fingers out on the side. I'm sure everybody's kind of done this technique in one shape or another, so it's still not long enough. I just don't like doing thick rolls like this, but I'm doing it just to kind of like example a version or whatever, because it just gets harder to work with because there's just so much more of it. Also, I was trying to keep this somewhat heated. So yeah, at this type of thickness, like, I don't feel like the rolling has as much of an effect, or it just takes a lot longer. So I'm just squeezing again from the center out to stretch out. And yes, at this thickness, I feel like I have to use my palms to get enough pressure, or else I feel like my fingers are gonna fall off. They look like little hot dogs. Or not little, thin hot dogs, or what are those, like pokey sticks? So I believe I am about, wow, 45 minutes into the time I started trying to make this video, but probably 30 minutes worth of trying to craft, and I've only gotten that much done. Maybe it's been less than that. I will verify that and probably do a little box over to correct myself if I get it wrong. Again, I'm setting up my shape, making the pinching all the way down, getting the triangle shape. I'm gonna work fast on this one, not gonna stop to chat. Okay, so still have a little bit of wiggle room, but I probably was not all on screen, and I apologize for that. So what I did was I needed this to be not so much a point, it's more like a continuation edge. So I needed to kind of adjust and push the edge back and flush before I went back to the more upright. I'm not sure if you can see that. But, so that strand actually gave me a lot more than I thought. So we are almost done. And I think about halfway through that one, I started using the wrong side of the roll, but triangle roll that is, but that's okay. I think I got it reasonably at this point. And like I said, I don't want completely pointed edge. I mean, that's pretty old. Another thing to consider as I work on this. I have a thermostat over here near me because one time I was working on this and I didn't realize how much heat I was producing from using my heat gun in this room because I live in an apartment. And so I keep a thermostat in here and watch as the temperature rises, and I try to mitigate the time I spend in here. I could turn the fan on probably as well, but sometimes that works against me. Then it's cold air blowing on things I'm trying to heat up, and so it can be a little frustrating. But and I definitely feel myself breaking a sweat, which is why I'm bringing this up. Don't want to make your thermostat think you're setting your place on fire. So I'm gonna actually interject. I was just thinking this as I was finishing molding some things. I'm going to start to try and add in a little bit of my battle damage. Thing I learned on the one before. I think I waited just a wee bit too long. Let's just start adding that in some of them because again, it gets thicker, or the thicker it is and it cools, the harder it is to get deeper and deeper in. So I'm gonna do kind of these like top-notch things that look like maybe a sword swooped in and knocked into it. Literally am carving into it. And I'm also going to carve into the foam, not just through the Worbla. Not too much, but enough. So as I cut through some of the Worbla, it'll start to kind of want to reposition itself. Just take a little bit of time to clean it up. Trying to replicate the exact same damage that I put in the other one. I mean, I'm trying to get them in about the same general location. But I do want them to at least have difference. And some of this is about like, I want it to look like maybe a sword hit it. It was like blocked kind of thing, even though like this part's like all up in here, so if the sword hit me up in here, I should technically be dead. That was joking. I might be doing these a little too soon, but in here, like, go in. So we'll just do it quick. So, just to show, adding nicks Obviously, the bigger, the more noticeable. So it could benefit me to make these a little wider. But you get the idea. Just like a Bob Ross type thing. I just feel like adding a happy little bit of battle damage really quick. And I will not stab myself in the leg again with the exact knife. Maybe it looks like the piece wants to like come out. So that's my suggestion on battle damage, and as I said before, like I'll finish up this trim and we'll come back to you more of the inside details, and then I'll get into a little bit more adding this like extra details and damage.